Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Fire Breathing Rob. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Today we have on Amanda Siebe, and she is running for the House of Representatives in Oregon District 1. And the primaries, it's still May 19th, Amanda, or did they change it?
It's still May 19th, and ballots are out now.
Okay. All right. So definitely try to help her out, and we'll go more into the interview. But Amanda, thanks so much for coming on the program. Really appreciate your time.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Amanda. So let's talk about this. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about you and why you wanted to run for Congress?
Yeah, of course. I was born and raised in this district. Oregon District 1 is my home. I really thought I was going to serve my community as an EMT and firefighter. That's what I prepared to do. But while I was saving up for tuition, I fell at work. And what should have been a simple 6-week recovery turned into full body nerve damage, all because my employer placed more value on their profits than my body and my health. So I've seen how all the programs that have been set up for the disabled, the poor, the injured workers have been cut almost to the point of unusability, leaving so many falling behind and falling through the cracks. And I'm really running to ensure that we all have a voice and that we're all represented in the United States House of Representatives, which is supposed to be the people's house and look like the people.
Where Oregon District 1 is located?
Yeah, we are the west side of Portland, all the way over to the coast in Astoria and down to McMinnville and Yamhill districts. So it's a really big, really diverse district, but it's very progressive, and I'm very, very proud of that fact.
So the woman that's in there now, Susan, I don't even know how to say her last name.
Yeah, Suzanne Bonamici.
Suzanne Bonamici. So what's the story with her? I assume that she's not very progressive if you're running against her, correct?
I mean, she talks a big game, but it's about putting your money and your time and your effort where your mouth is. And that's what we're not seeing from her. We're not seeing any big accomplishments, any big action. We don't see her speaking out when it comes to supporting Medicare for all. She says she supports it. She was shamed into supporting it by our constituents, but she has $300,000 invested in our current healthcare system. So if it came down to it, would she vote for it? I don't know, and I don't trust it. I don't trust that she would.
Isn't it time for Medicare for all in a pandemic?
I don't know if we're smarter than the politicians, but we definitely we're invested in this. This is our bodies, our healthcare. They already have healthcare. They have great healthcare in Congress, and we don't. So we care. They have money invested in the companies, and we're the ones suffering at the bottom. So they look at it from an entirely different point of view. They're looking at it from how much money they can skim off the system. And we're looking at it with how can we best save our lives. Suzanne Bonamici talks about using Oregon Health Plan as a basis for her modified Medicare for all program. But what they do in Oregon is we have the line of coverage, and they list every condition on a 0 to 1,000 scale, with 0 being the less severe, completely healthy, and 1,000 being the most severe. And then they only cover from like 500 up. And that leaves the sickest and the most severely in need of healthcare without it. Like my condition is not covered. I don't have any healthcare coverage to the state of Oregon, specifically for CRPS. I can get it for everything else that CRPS does to my body, but I can't get any specific treatments for CRPS because they're not covered. And I know a lot of states are pushing people to get back to work and saying, well, if you get sick, we have, workers' compensation. But workers' compensation is nowhere good enough. The same companies that have gutted our healthcare system have also gutted workers' compensation, and we never hear about that. People assume that they will be covered with that social contract that we enter into just by taking a job as an employer-employee. But that's not the case. I was hurt at work. Yeah. It's been 8.5 years. I still haven't seen a dime. I'm living on $750 a month. And I was making $55,000 a year when I got hurt.
As a first-time candidate, how has the campaign been?
I mean, it's definitely a learning experience. I started this alone as a pipe dream and a prayer. Like, honestly, I didn't think it was going to blow up anywhere near as much as it did. And I am so excited and grateful that I've gotten this platform because we need it. You know, we've been left behind. So many poor communities have been left behind, and we need that representation. I've had to come up with creative ways to campaign because going canvassing and door knocking with a wheelchair and a dog, when most people have at least one stair leading up to their house, it's just not doable. So what we started doing was turning Max rides, our train rides, and our buses into little mini town halls, and started getting the word out that way. And well, up until the pandemic, and we had to stop that. But you know, it's coming up with creative ways to canvass and trying to rework the way that we do things.
What have you learned so far throughout the campaign? You talked a little bit about how, you know, it's been different with all these innovative ways to campaign. So what have you learned so far?
Actually, I was just talking with my buddy about this today. I have been able to amplify my voice and get the platform out there more in 8 months of campaigning than I did as 4 years as an activist. It's amplified the platform. It's gotten the voice out there. I can't believe it. I mean, it's no wonder that they make it so hard for people to run, because you get such an amazing platform out of running. And I really want to encourage others out there to do it. I mean, as a disabled person, I'm risking a lot just by running, just because our Social Security has a really bad habit of going in and saying, well, you are able to run for Congress, so you can't really be disabled, and taking away our benefits. So I'm risking a lot just by running, and it's worth it. We're actually getting the change that we need. And that's the only way it's going to happen, is if real people stand up and fight for real change.
Amanda, how have you adjusted the campaign? Are you doing more virtual stuff? Has it hurt your campaign? Because obviously you said you were going to, bus stations, train stations, and having those town halls. Now you can't really do that because of the issues going on in the country. So how have you adjusted your campaign?
Well, we've really kicked up the online stuff. All the town halls, all the meetings and everything are now held online. I've been stuck in my house since March 6th.
Wow.
Yeah, so it has been 2 months and 3 days that I really haven't left my house, which is crazy, but I'm doing everything I can to get the word out there. Interviews, articles, whatever we can do to get the word out. A lot of voter registration pamphlets, online voter caucuses, and town halls. So it's really going well, and I'm really excited for every opportunity like this that I get to get the word out there.
We're excited to have you on here. Amanda Siebe, and she is running in Oregon for the House of Representatives, District 1 in Oregon. The primary is on May 19th, coming up very soon. Amanda, what has been the response on the campaign trail when you were out on the campaign trail talking to voters, and now even on the internet? What's been the response from voters about the campaign?
It's been amazing. There are so many issues that we're fighting for that resonate within the community. Immigration, the Green New Deal, fighting to ensure that all people can live with dignity and a basic quality of life, universal basic income, ending mass incarceration and systematic racism. These are issues that affect everybody. Everybody should have the dignity to live with a living wage. And that includes Social Security, supplemental social income, and Social Security disability. It's hard living on $750 a month. And we need to make sure that we give people the opportunity that they have to live a quality life. And that includes picking your own food, living by your own rules in your own house. I mean, a lot of these programs have so many hoops that you have to jump through just to get them, and the lists are so long that we can't. So it's really about including everybody, ensuring everybody has a voice, and it's been a really, really amazing response.
Can you speak about your injury on the job a little bit more in depth?
Yeah, it was so stupid. I mean, a typical injury that I had a million times, a simple sprained ankle, but because my employers, they waited 3 days to even send me to the hospital because they didn't have another manager to fill in for me. So I had to keep working. And so I did that before I even went to the hospital. Then when I came back for modified duty, it was, okay, get off your crutches and go deliver the food and go take that order and go serve that and work that register. And the repeat injury and the repeat trauma cause complex regional pain syndrome, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy, which is basically an inflammation that breaks down the nerves. And as it does, it releases the most intense pain signals that it can. There's a 0 to 50 scale. It's called the McGill pain scale, where they rate pain. And like a 17 is a bad toothache. 32 is like childbirth. 37 is natural childbirth. 41 is cutting off part of your body without anesthesia. And 42 is CRPS. So it tops out the scale. Only you live with that pain every minute of every day for the rest of your life. And that's why pain management and opiate pain management are such an important issue to me, because due to the opiate epidemic that our country is facing with heroin and illicit fentanyl, a lot of patients who rely on opiate pain management through the care of their doctors are being forcibly tapered. And that's resulting in heart attacks and strokes if they aren't resulting to the bottle, the street, or suicide as means of pain management. And it's wrong. We really need to ensure that healthcare is something that covers all people, all conditions, all parts of the body, and that we get what we need to survive. I mean, this is what happens when healthcare doesn't cover the whole body, you know?
Yeah, it is what it is. Amanda, can we talk about this? So is marijuana help you out? And also with the marijuana, is it legalized in Oregon, or can you talk about that?
Yeah, Oregon has legalized medical and recreational marijuana. And I am very lucky. I am a huge supporter of legalization, not just of medical marijuana, but of recreational marijuana. I use marijuana personally for pain management in addition to my opiates. It's what gives me functionality and quality of life. And while it doesn't work for all patients, it is something that everybody should have access to for that personal pain management or their personal use. I mean, it's no different than smoking a cigarette or drinking a beer.
Amanda Siebe here on Fire Breathing Rob. When you get elected, what would you do to help people with disabilities? What kind of legislation would you push?
I mean, updating the ADA is the first and biggest thing that we can do. So many places were grandfathered in, and so much, like, I'm sure that all people are included, and that includes going into universal design and a stair-free society, so that people, when they become disabled, if they buy a house, that they can stay in their house, or they can stay in their homes as they grow older. You know, we need to ensure that all places are open to the disabled, that we earn a living wage like with everybody else, that we receive the same rights and protections as everybody else. I mean, it's basic common sense. Everything that anybody else should be able to do, we should be able to go there and do it too.
We talk about this, and I know you have a service dog, and I think this is important. Maybe you can explain better than me. Can we explain the differences between comfort dogs and service dogs?
Right. I mean, a service dog provides a legitimate function. You know, they help with mobility. They are the person's eyes. They are the alert system for a person with diabetes or with any type of seizure or epileptic condition. I mean, these dogs are our bodies, and when they are with us, they need to be treated like our bodies. I mean, one of the biggest issues that I run into with Dobby is people that go straight to him, or ooh, and he jerks off and pulls my chair, and it becomes a point of danger. But a comfort animal is something that is there for emotional support. It doesn't provide a function other than, you know, giving you that emotional companionship. And while that can be a huge important thing, it does not permit some animals to be going into stores or hospitals or other locations that a service dog would be required to go into as part of a person's body.
People would come and try to yank on the vest and try to grab the dog and stuff. Now I'm seeing more people, or you know, telling their kids or saying this is a service dog. You know, the majority are. Are you seeing that also in Oregon or wherever you travel to?
A lot of that, you know, is coming with education.
Right.
In Oregon, I mean, with Dobby, it's really hit or miss. Some people, they're like, I can't touch you, but I'm going to come up and I'm going to love on you so much with my lies and my words that it's just as distracting, and they don't get it. And that's why it's so important for people with service dogs, or for us to be out in public view to educate people, because that's the only way that they are going to get it. We do such a disservice by ostracizing the disabled people rather than including them, because the only way that our lives are going to be improved is if we're included. So I have noticed people starting to get better, but they don't understand what is like the difference between touching, acknowledging, and interacting with the dog and distracting it. I'm really glad to see that there are more people that are becoming aware, but it's still very, very challenging,
So
right?
we hope.
One of the things that we really need to see is the price of these dogs come down, because that's why we have so many issues with people saying and claiming that they are service dogs. I had to train Dobby, and I trained Dobby all on my own, because it's $20,000 in some cases to get a service dog. Canine Companion for Independence is amazing because they offer dogs to those for free, which is an amazing resource. I just didn't know about them before I got Dobby. So they're actually who I'm going to go through to get my next service dog, and I'm really excited about that. But we need to make sure that people who need these dogs have access to them, and that they are also covered through Medicare for All, and their care is, and that their food is, so that people have the ability to have these resources.
And this is Amanda Siebe, if you've just been joining us, and she is running for District 1, a U.S. House of Representatives in the state of Oregon. The primary is May 19th, so let's try to help her get in. She's really amazing. Amanda, I want to speak on this. With service dogs, we have a big issue, and we've seen this in the headlines in the news quite a few times, especially on airplanes. Mostly, that people bring these dogs with fake vests. You can go on Amazon, you can go on any website, pretty much eBay too, and go and buy a fake vest that says service dog on there. And it's really sad, because somebody's going to get hurt. And we saw somebody on a plane, I think it was last year or the year before that, they got mauled by a dog on the plane because it was a fake dog. And, you know, we're seeing now more restrictions now on planes. I just seen quite a few, there was quite a few airlines that also put some pretty intense restrictions now on service dogs. So firstly, are you seeing that also with the fake service dogs? And what would you do as far as restrictions in service dog legislation to help make sure that we get these people with fake service dogs, you know, out of the light, so people that are legitimate can, you know, keep those service dogs and use them for their own issues?
Right. And we definitely need to come up with some solution, because you're right. There are some major, major problems, and there are some big issues with the fact that a lot of these dogs aren't properly trained. I mean, you can just go on and buy a service dog vest anywhere, and it is a problem, but it's also a problem that the dogs that are properly trained are so expensive. We need to come up with some form of balance, because there are legitimate people that train their dogs, and then there are people that just grab a dog randomly, throw a vest on it, and say, okay, you are now a service dog. Congratulations. And we need to come up with some form of balance or make these dogs more affordable and more ready so that people have access to them, because they do improve people's lives so much that we need to come up with a balance. We need to figure it out. Whether that's registering dogs, providing dogs for free, providing dogs for Medicare for all, we need to come up with some real solutions.
If when elected to Congress, what would be the first bill you would sponsor? Would it be Medicare for all?
Medicare for all. I mean, that's the biggest part of what we need. I mean, we're looking at the worst pandemic that we've faced in 100 years, and it's made worse by the fact that people have pre-existing conditions and conditions that they haven't had proper treatment for. And it's just time. We need to ensure that people have the ability to live and live a healthy, full life. And we don't have that in our current thing. We don't have that with 30 million people falling in the Medicaid gap. We don't have that with people unable to afford a doctor's a trip, or the co-pays, or the deductibles, or the premiums that go with it. Medicare for all is the simplest, easiest solution that covers the most people with the most amount of care.
I agree 100%. How do you feel like Oregon has handled the pandemic?
Too little, too late. I mean, the same way that the federal government has. I mean, I'm really, really proud of Mayor Ted Wheeler for pushing Governor Kate Brown to do the shutdown as early as we did. Without Mayor Wheeler, it would have been even longer. We would have had more people getting sick. We really need rent relief, and we need that now. We need it across the country. I know there are some states that are stepping up, but we need it across the country universally. Oregon should be stepping up and taking care of us. I mean, those who have are being taken care of, but tenants are getting no relief.
Ashley, where can people find more about you?
www.siebe2020.com. That's www.siebe2020.com.
All right, Lauren, thanks so much for being on the program. Greatly appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me, Rod.
All right. Amanda, I was just, do you know Mark Gamba?
I do. Mark
okay, I had him on a little while back. He had a really interesting story about National Geographic, and also, his run, of course. And there was another woman that's
Doyle Canning.
This woman was from New York, but she's running on disability rights too.
Lauren Ashcroft.
Yeah, Lauren Ashcraft. Yeah, I had her on too. Oh, so you know her too. You know everybody.
I try to keep up with as many of the progressive candidates as I can.
Right. Well, Amanda, definitely, first of all, thanks again for spending the time today. I want to get you on again to talk about the homeless problem after the primary sometime, if that's all right.
I'd love that.
Because I think that would be good from a good perspective. I asked Mark a little bit, and he gave me a little bit of a perspective, but you could also give it to too, so that'd be great.
I would love
All right,
that.
Amanda, once I get this edited, I will send this off to you, and I'd love for you to put it up and bounce it around, and I will do the same, and we'll get this right up, and I'll let you know what day I can bounce this on YouTube and the other platforms that we put it on to.
Sounds great. I really look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, Amanda, thanks so much. All right, you stay safe, okay? And I appreciate everything you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you. You too. All right, man.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.